Anyway, let's talk about China. China's wading through its worst COVID outbreak yet, according to numbers released. The economic dragon, though, is now being rocked by its first decline in population and an economic slowdown. I mean, for years, Alex, we've relied on China to boost our own economy, even though there's been all these diplomatic strains. I mean, we should be looking to demarcate or maybe, of course, diversify ourselves from China. We don't want to be an enemy with them, but we don't want to be just relying on them alone.
No, well, we've got a very short memory about all this, haven't we? Because it's only 2 years ago that our neighbours up north there put tariffs on all of our seafood, barley, wheat, in the name of presumably payback for some comments pushing back on this terrible regime, the Chinese Communist Party. So, I mean, there are a host of reasons why we should be diversifying away from China in our markets, and I'm glad to say that many Australian businesses just did that during the COVID period when that market was effectively shut down. Many Australian winemakers did that. Much of the seafood industry did that. And that's got to be a common theme. You know, the reality here is on a range of levels, the Chinese Communist Party and their grip on that trade relationship is a problem for Australia. Sure, we want to be trading, we want to be doing business, and I know there's a lot of industry that's reliant on that, but we have to be diversified on these issues because, you know, this is a little bit like a bad breakup. You know, all of a sudden we think that, you know, because we're talking to them again, it's all going to be all right. Well, it's not. I mean, this regime will continue to use and abuse us like a pawn. And we have to be ready for that. And we have to be ready for them not always to have a smooth ride like we're seeing through their COVID crisis right now.
Okay, let's talk about very domestic issues, bill blowouts and blackouts, brownouts. I mean, this is how your leader, Peter Dutton, he's an old mate of mine, he's described the current trajectory under Labor's gas policy. The price caps, the mandatory code of conduct, they're all hurting Australia's gas industry. I mean, prices are expected to rise by 20% next month, a worst-case scenario coming to life, and already a 30% increase in Queensland. I mean, Alex, very soon Australians are going to wake up to this, really when they receive their energy bills. So, is the government, running Australia's gas industry into the ground?
Yeah, well, of course they are, Gary. And of course, this government wants to blame everything on Vladimir Putin. You know, Putin's profits and the line they've been running is the illegal invasion of Ukraine and all that sort of stuff. But the reality here is this comes along the lines of a net zero push. Wherever we see renewables, we see higher energy costs. There are also some global market forces at play here as well. I mean, the Biden regime in the United States turned off the Keystone XL pipeline. In the UK, there's been a push to try and ban the exploration in shale for shale gas. So there's a global push on here. This is not all Vladimir Putin's fault, but the reality here is that when you walk down the road and you see someone with a climate action now sign on their fence, what that is doing is fueling us towards higher energy prices. This net zero stuff, I've spoken about it, Senator Matt Canavan's spoken about it, we've been speaking about it, even when our own government was taking that line. This is a nonsense. It is nothing more than carpetbagging from elites in Europe, and it is doing us a great deal of harm, the sort of harm that's going to be very hard for us to unpick, not just with high power prices, but also for our manufacturing industry, domestic security. There's a host of reasons. And I just hope we don't wake up when it's all too late.
But Alex Antic, the government's throwing a lot of money around. I mean, is anybody in Canberra actually even concerned about intergenerational debt and declining living standards anymore?
Well, I mean, look, I certainly do, and it's been a concern of mine for a long period of time. We're going to be up to almost $1 trillion in debt by 2024. They were the projections. So, look, we owe a lot of money, and we've heard this before. COVID is a large percentage of that, of course, and, we needed to keep businesses afloat. But this culture of spending that has gripped this country and the generations after the Howard government really have to be reined in. And it's difficult, I get it. But at some point, we need to do this and we need to rein in the spending because ultimately we can't keep writing checks.
Yeah, or spend it on stuff that's actually going to produce something that will create a stronger future for all Australians. There's nothing wrong with debt, providing you're buying something tangible with it.
Right. No, I'd be buying a nuclear industry, Gary. That'd be my first step. I mean, here in South Australia, we've got the perfect environment for it. We've got lots of land, stable geology, lots of uranium. Let's dig it up, use it, and bury it.